not always you get to see the 7 years. And I think 7 years is when we actually started doing the stars. We've been around for longer than that, but the stars only go up to seven. You might start seeing eight next year, but you've probably been around even longer than that as far as the membership. So, welcome, man. Good to have you. All right, excellent, friends. Let's get started. Quick disclaimer: we are not an investment or advisory service. That just means we don't tell you what to buy or what to sell, and no publication at Bearwood Traders is a recommendation for you to act on. Right? So we are a educational purpose organization. If you want to look for any personal advice, get with someone that's certified to look at your unique situation, your unique financials, and that is licensed to give you advice on what they think is better for you to move forward with, right? So very important. All right, with that said, guys, welcome to your trading community. I know we might have different types of people in the group. Some that have already made the commitment, got their membership, and they're ready to rock and roll. Others that are here just to check it out and see what the environment is about. So welcome just as well as you are, gathering information and seeing if this is the right community for you. And I always tell people, it always comes down to, not if you're going to join a community, but more of what community you're going to join, right? Because I think that this is a very difficult career. It's a very difficult task, and doing it on your own, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. So you could skip a lot of mistakes, a lot of rookie errors. You could learn a lot from people that are ahead of you on the learning curve when it comes to trading. Even if they're not, where eventually they want to get at the final finish line, right? But they're ahead. They have more experience. They've been through some of the stuff that you are probably going to go through. You could learn from their steps and how to avoid things, right? And I think that's just in anything, not just in trading. I think even in a lot of things in life, this is why people get mentors, right? They get mentors because they are ahead in life in either career, business experience, sports, whatever it is, hobby. They're ahead. They have more experience. Not that they're better, but the experience is key, right? Someone has more experience than you are, has been through some of the stuff you're about to go through, can provide you with a lot of information, right? And again, in trading and in life. And I always say here, this is one of the things that when I was younger, I wish I would have done more of, even in my personal life, join more communities, get more mentors, and learn from others that done it, that been through it, that know some of the potholes that you're going to run into, right? To avoid them as much as possible. So if this is not the right community for you, highly, highly recommend keep searching. Keep searching for that trading community that's going to meet what you're trying to accomplish, right? Very important. Here's a team that's going to be helping you out. Everyone here is reachable. Myself here, Carlos Moreta. You can always email me at Carlos Moreta at, Carlos. It's usually all our first name, Carlos at BearwoodTraders.com. And here you have Dwayne, who's going to be with me tonight as well, helping us out. Dwayne at BearwoodTraders.com. And everybody else here, Andrew, Peter, you name it, Thor, Abio, John, everybody's here is available for you. So definitely do not hesitate to email us. We are here to help. Dwayne, so I'm good, man. I'm a little bit under the weather. You can hear my voice. It started happening this morning. I felt it a little bit. So I just been, starting, the teas, the honey, the this, the that, the Theraflus. I'm kicking it all in high gear, man. I am not trying to get sick for the holidays, but you can hear a little bit of a sore throat, but nothing too bad that we can't handle for now, at least. And drinking a lot of water, tea, lemon. I mean, that thing will knock it out. And if it doesn't, by the time we get to Christmas, we'll be drinking whiskey, so that will take care of it. All right, let's get to it, friends. Yeah, it's going around, but you know what, man? Since my kids are out of daycare now, oh, it's such a difference, and I barely get sick now. When the kids were in daycare, dude, it was every other week. They come home with some stuff, coughing, this and that, congestion. It was every other week, man. And I had two of them. So one will get better than the other one will catch it. Then my wife will get it and I will get it. It was like this domino effect, man. But now that they're in regular school my brother's going through it now, man. His kids constantly. Daycare is it is a germ bubble. That's what it is. Daycare is. So if you guys got small ones, you know exactly what I'm talking about or if you have kids, you've been there. All right, friends, a quick look at our daily chat room. This is what it's like. We are active every day of the trading market. So pretty much the same schedule here throughout the day, all the way until 4:30. Usually we're done by 4, but sometimes we got earnings and some things that we like to go over and discuss. We might stick around to 4:30 in some cases. The only thing we don't have is Fridays. We do not have engineering the markets. The next couple of weeks, the schedule might be a little wonky because we do have some days that are off given the holidays. This week with Christmas and Christmas Eve, and of course, next week with New Year's and New Year's Eve. Of course, there'll be some schedule, changes plus half a days on certain days with the overall market plus the closure. So you see a little bit of difference there, but for the most part, this schedule is very, very steady. Here's our weekly schedule, which again, for this week and next week, also you're going to see a little bit of differences in what we have going on. But for the most part, all our elite webinars are in the evening around 8 p.m. Sometimes we might have something at 5 o'clock, depending who's given the webinars. As you can see, they're posted the newer schedule. So you see there are some empty slots, for example, like 23rd, the 24th, we have no classes, right? So you'll see some of that into this week and next, of course. But every week you check the schedule and see what's going on, and see what webinars are coming up for this week and next. Few things we want to cover today as we get into it. 3 trading pillars: technology, strategy, and psychology. We'll talk a little bit about our education center and how to navigate all the information on there. We'll talk about trading expectations, and then towards the end, we'll leave time for a Q&A there. So let's hop in right to it, guys. 3 trading pillars. So we believe that these are the 3 things that that provide traders with an edge, right? A trading edge. It's made up of your technology. Big part is a strategy, and one that never, you never kind of check off, psychology, right? These 3 things provide you this trading edge, right? And the better these are all working together, the more clear and the easier your trading edge is going to be. Let's start with technology. So technology, a lot of people immediately go to your keyboard, your monitor, which all that stuff is important. But I believe now, after trading so many years, that a lot of this stuff that you see is more preference than actual the need, right? The technology itself, like how many monitors to use, how many keyboards. Obviously, you need stuff that works, and if we 2 monitors is clearly better than one, right? One could be too little for trading. 2 or 3 are probably the sweet spot. But what you don't need is a gaming powerful PC, right? You don't need the latest and greatest. A lot of the traders with the machine they have at home right now can start trading, can start practicing, right? You don't need this powerful machine or computer. So I'm not going to focus on the technology stuff. We do have videos that do cover that. I want to focus more on other things that are part of technology that are probably more important, right? Than your actual physical setup. So let's start with the number one thing, which is your trading platform, right? I think this is your number one tool when it comes to technology. This is where you are going to be meeting with the market, right? So this is where you're going to be interpreting information, where you're going to be making decisions and then executing them. So this is by far the most important tool within trading, technology, or whatever. This is what the number one tool that you have, and it has to be the correct one. And what I mean by correct, I'm not talking about that it has to be what I use or what Andrew uses or what Dwayne uses. It has to be the one that is going to get the job done for you. So for example, I actually have an account with all these platforms. I have an account with Thinkorswim. I have Interactive Brokers attached to Dash Trader Pro, and I also have a Robinhood account. And I think I opened up a year ago or so, 2 years ago. I opened up an account with Coinbase too, just to see what the deal was with Coinbase. But I never did anything. I think I got like a couple of $100 just sitting there. I never really traded or just did anything, but it's just sitting there. But I downloaded all their platforms. They're really good. Like Robinhood is a great platform for what it's meant to do, buy and hold, right? Interactive Brokers, right? The broker itself, amazing for day traders, right? One of the best commissions structure that's out there. Executions are extremely good. TWS, their actual platform I used before, I don't love it. I know now they got this IBKR desktop. I do have these downloaded because if anything goes wrong with like Dash or something and I cannot get out of a position, I can always log into Interactive Brokers website or the TWS system or even their their mobile app, and I can execute like an emergency order if I got to get out of something, right, or manage a trade. So I do have all these downloaded. But as far as trading itself, my recommended platform is Dash Trader Pro. As far as trading, the 5 minute ORB, the VWAP breakout, I love this Dash Trader Pro platform. I tried doing it with Thinkorswim to save the 150 a month years ago. It didn't work. This platform is just so clean when it comes to that. So for many traders, that's the way they have to go. This platform works great. For others, it could be Thinkorswim with Schwab, right? They can be able to process their orders based on their trading style with a different platform. So you do not have to go with Dash Trader Pro. I recommend that for my trading style. The way Andrew trades too is very fast paced and very active. You have to have a platform that's going to back that type of trading style up, right? So look at your trading style and then look for the tool that's going to best meet what you're trying to accomplish. For a lot of us in our community, it's going to be Dash Trader Pro, right? So again, you don't have to go with them, but do some research on what platform is the best for what you're trying to accomplish. Option traders, they got a lot of options when it comes to platform. They can use Thinkorswim, which specializes in it. Interactive Broker as well has a good platform for options. So options are a little bit different. There's so many ways to execute your options. I know a lot of traders don't use Dash Trader Pro for options. They'll use like a Thinkorswim, or they'll use Interactive Brokers or something else, right? So again, really depends on your trading style and what you're trying to accomplish. All right, next one here. Number 2 is going to be information, right? Where are you getting your information from? As far as the most important thing that a trader needs in his, as far as information pillar, is going to be stocks in play, right? What stocks are in play? What stocks are hitting the scanners? What stocks have news for today that's making them a little more volatile? That is the information you need as a trader. We're a momentum trader, so we need volume, we need movement of the stock. There are some news that's going to move better. There are some scanners criteria that are going to be better for trading. And we try to find what are those stocks every morning that are going to give us the best trading opportunity for our strategy. So we go to tradingterminal.com, right? Tradingterminal.com. Here I have my scanners that I check every morning. I have also the market news. Plus, I have also the market atlas that I can use after the market opens. So I got all my tools here in this one little website that I can find everything I need as far as stocks in play, right? So for traders that are starting out, there's more to it. You can do live trading on the simulator, or you could do replay simulator if you want to go back and review some trades, or practice your executions when the market's not open, or your pattern. Being able to identify patterns. You can practice all of that with the replay simulator. So it's very important to have information on what stocks are in play. We got 6,000 tickers or so. Finding out what's in play is going to be extremely important, because you don't want to be watching the wrong stuff. You want to be watching the stuff that's actually going to be in play. Sorry, guys. My throat is getting really dry. So every time I pause like that, I'm just taking a sip of water there to be able to continue here. So yeah, information is extremely important. Market news, some news trades better than others, right? Like for example, a news of a buyout. We saw one today was gapping up 30%. Great, tons of volume. But I could tell in the pre-market it was very choppy pre-market activity with like 12 million shares traded. And I told Peter, hey, this looks like a buyout. It's not going to trade good. And it was. We looked at the news. It was a buyout. So usually buyouts don't trade very well. So what is the news, right? We don't trade the news as far as, okay, positive news, we're going to go long, negative news, we're going to go short, because we've seen too many situations where the news is negative, right? News is negative, stock is gapping down, and at the market open, it is in long the entire day recovery, and vice versa. Good news, stock is gapping up, and it's a short the entire market open, right? So we've seen both those situations. So we don't want to understand the news as far as a bias. We want to understand it more of, okay, what volatility can I get from it? And at the market open, which is going to trade our plan, trade our execution, and look for our patterns, right? So understanding what stocks to watch, what stocks are in play, is going to be critical for you here. So that's number 2, information on what is in play and what is the news that's happening today. All right. Number 3, and the last one here that I want to talk about today, is going to be your chat room, right? So many people don't look at the chat room as a technology tool, but it really is because it allows you to get information on what's going on, what people are watching, how other traders are trading, and just like any tool that you have here, right? If you don't use this tool correctly, it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you, right? That's just a fact, and that's just with anything, not just the chat room. That's with the scanners. That's with the stocks that you're watching. That's with your platform. You got to use these things correctly so you can get the best benefit out of them. If you come in here and treat it like an alert service, what's going to happen is Andrew's going to call out a 5 minute ORB here, and you're just going to blindly take the trade without having a plan in place. That's going to work a few times, but it's not going to work in the long run. You're not going to be able to build consistency from following someone else. What I recommend is, yes, be in the chat room, chat with other people, get ideas. But when somebody calls something out, don't just blindly take the trade. I mean, if Andrew calls this 5 minute ORB on Tesla long, I'm going to look at it and then I'm going to match it up against my trade book and say, okay, does it make sense for me to take this trade? Does it match my criteria? If it does, and I'm able to put a plan around it, here's my stop, here's my profit target, this makes sense. Okay, then I'll join the trade. I'll take the trade as well. But I'm not blindly taking a trade just because someone else did, right? Or getting FOMO because other traders are trading something and they're making money. This is very important. So use this thing correctly. Use it as a way to network, get ideas, but not as an alert service for you to come in and just blindly follow someone. Again, it works once or twice, but you can be a consistent trader trading that way. So very, very important. All right, so now we go to pillar number 2, which is going to be strategy, right? So we talked about technology. Now let's talk about strategy, which I believe is probably one of the most stressful pillars. It takes longer than most pillars. You could be stuck here for a little bit as you try to figure out what strategies work best for you. And I strongly believe that not every strategy is for everyone. So not everyone's going to be able to trade a 5 minute ORB, and not everyone's going to be able to trade a VWAP breakout, right? But there are some strategies here out of the 26 plus strategies that we have that you are going to be able to trade. The biggest challenge now is finding out what that strategy is, right? Because I strongly believe, and I haven't read this in any book or anything that I've seen out there or any videos on YouTube, but I strongly believe that there is a connection with the person, the way you are as a person, with the strategy you trade. And what I mean by that, for example, for me, a 1 minute ORB, I find it very difficult to trade. I don't process information that quickly. I need more candles. I need more time to understand the patterns, right? So I don't trade a 1 minute ORB unless there's a specific situation that I'm seeing, okay, this could be a good trade for me. I don't trade reversals, right? I'm just not good at them, right? I prefer breakouts. So there are some strategies that I know I'm good at, and other ones that I cannot trade. I'm just not able to. I'll give you an example. Reverse ABCD pattern. I cannot identify a reverse ABCD pattern to save my life, let alone trade it, right? After the fact, after it's already done, oh yeah, look, that was an ABCD reverse pattern, but is that something that comes to me naturally, like a 5 minute ORB or a VWAP breakout? It comes very natural. So you could be quite the opposite. You could hate the 5 minute ORB and you could love these reversals, right? So I think everybody has a thing that they're good at. Finding that is the most important thing when it comes to trading. Once you're able to find what you're good at, you're it's like you're not trading against the grain, against the flow, right? You're not trading against the grain. You're going with the natural flow that the way you see the market as a trader, and that's very important, right? So finding that strategy is going to help you drastically to be able to build that consistency, because it no longer feels like a battle every single time you take a trade, right? You're moving with the current, not going against it all the time. So that's important. So how do we find that, right? It's not easy, but there are some tips and tricks that we're going to provide for you on how to be able to find that strategy. I know the only way to know for sure if it works for you is to actually try it, is to actually take it into the simulator and start practicing that strategy over time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it takes, and be able to find the ones that you're going to be profitable. If you could be profitable in sim, then you can move forward to a funded account, eventually a live account, but you first got to be profitable in sim. If you cannot make money in sim with that strategy, by adding more risk, by going to a funded account, by going to a live account, you're not just going to magically start trading well and making money off that strategy. So it's very important that all these strategies you try in sim first to see if you can make money on them. So here's what we done. We got 26 different strategies. Why we have so many strategies? Because we know you're not going to be good at all of them, right? Everybody trades different. Take a look on our own team, right? Our own team is a few of us, and we all trade very different. We all learn from Andrew. We all got Andrew's book. We all saw the way he trades, but we went and we found, okay, what works for me. That's the most important thing, finding out what works for you. So in every strategy that we have on here, you're going to find these three criteria are so important to every strategy that you're looking at, right? So I'm gonna use my example here, the 5 minute ORB, which is opening range breakout or breakdown. I'm gonna use my example as what is included in my trade book for this strategy. The first thing is going to be stock selection. Second, setup identification. And third, trade execution. Now, I really want to focus on the high level stuff, right? Stock selection, as I mentioned before, setup identification, how we identify the setup, and also trade execution. As we go through some of the details here, it is not for you to learn this strategy. I just want to give you an idea of what you're going to find when you start going to the education center, how we have laid out our strategies, right? So, for example, the stock selection, you're going to find for every single strategy, you're going to have this. This is basically what stocks make the best candidates for this strategy. For me, it's going to be stocks that have these current things on here, right? Mid to large flow stocks, basically no low flow tickers, right? Significant pre-market or opening volume, right? So I want to see volume. This is a momentum play. So for momentum play, you have to have high volume. Usually stocks that gap up and down, right, provide a good selection. So that's why every morning I'm looking at the gap up tickers and gap down from tradingterminal.com, because usually I want to say 90% of my stock list comes from the gap up and gap down tickers, right? And then the other 10 or 5%, whatever you want to call it, is usually stocks that are usual suspects that I'm always watching, like Tesla, like an Nvidia, or stuff that was in play before them the previous day that might not be showing on the gappers list this morning. So hopefully that's making sense, right? So that's my stock selection that I have on this strategy. Again, if some of this terminology, friends, you're not familiar with, that's okay. We're going to break all this down as we run into our education center. So don't feel intimidated by some of the terminology. For example, okay, what is a low flow, right? What is a large flow? What is a mid flow? We're going to teach you all that as you go into our education center. Again, this is very high level view, 30,000 feet in the air looking down, saying, okay, we see stock selection. What does it mean? Now we have setup identification. What does that mean? So for every strategy we have, we're going to show you how to identify this setup. So a quick snapshot of my setup on the 5 minute ORB. We want to wait for the 5 minute range to be created, as you see here in one of the trades I took. I want to make sure the price action is not too extended from VWAP. Very important indicator that we use in a lot of our strategies. So we're going to teach you that as well. And what it means is volume weighted average price. It's this blue line that you see here, this blue line on my charts, right? And why that's important, we'll teach you all about that. And I want to check for the 1 minute for the pullback opportunities to the VWAP, right, before taking the trade. So that's how we identify this strategy. If you're interested in this strategy, this is just a quick snapshot, right? I have an hour-long video with examples and webinars on teaching you this strategy if you are interested in it. We also have different variations of it. Like I traded one way. I know Lenny trades it a different way. They're both 5 minute ORBs, but we have different things that we look at when we're trading this strategy, right? I have made the strategy my own. Lenny has also made it his own, right? The way he understands it, the way he trades it, his criteria for looking for certain tickers. His setup identification might be slightly different than mine. But at the end, if you look at them, they're both 5 minute ORBs, just traded slightly different, right? So make sure you look at both and see which one connects with you more, and then practice it, right? Things I would like to see on here, and for every strategy, usually if you can combine it with another strategy, that's an A plus, right? That just gives you more conviction that the strategy can actually work out. So, for example, in my case here, if you look at the 1 minute, we have an A, B, C, D pattern forming here. So beautiful ABCD pattern forming here on the 1 minute. So I'm sure there are some traders going long here that are not going long for my 5 minute ORB. They're going long for the ABCD breakout, right? Which works very well. So that's what they're going long there. They're not doing it for the 5 minute ORB alone, which again is extremely, excuse me, it's extremely helpful for me because they're all going long and I'm joining the party. So the more people join the party long, the better for the actual breakout here. Okay. I want to see something breaking through a technical level. So if it's breaking through a technical level, that's also a plus because there could be some people that are getting in just to break from a major level that might be in place there, right? So this is how we identify the setup and things that I want to see on my 5 minute ORB strategies. And Dwayne, my friend, has put some links in there for you guys. You guys can copy and save those to view them later, giving you more information on the 5 minute ORB. All right, so let's go to trade execution. Take a sip of water here. All right, so now as far as trade execution, every strategy needs to have these three key things, right? These are so important. Like it's going to be the off the trade execution, your entry, your stop loss, and your profit target. And I always tell traders, that I mentor, you have to have these things iron out before you take the trade. This is so critical because it's going to help you do two things. One is identify if you can actually take this trade, right? I'm just going to put a check mark. Is this trade a go or not, right? Can I take this trade? Yes or no? And number two, you know, follow the plan. It's going to help you follow. I'm just going to put follow P here, right? Follow the plan. Might as well type it all out since I already did it. That's what's going to help you do. If you identify these three things in advance before taking the trade, it'll tell you, hey, yes, take the trade. No, you cannot take this trade. It's not worth it. And if you do decide you are going to take the trade, okay, all you have to do now is follow the plan that you laid out. All right, so what do I mean by that? So let's go to the entry, right? So if I identify my entry, okay, my entry is going to be, I'm going back to this area here because it's a little bit easier to do it off the 1 minute. So if I identify, okay, here's going to be my entry, right? Before I get in, my entry is going to be in this area. My stop loss is going to be here, right? I'm identifying where my stop needs to be. And my profit target is potentially the pre-market high. That's potentially my profit target. So I'm risking $100 to try to make, let's say 1, 2, we'll call it 3, might be a little more, to make $300. Okay, that is a good risk to reward. Okay, I'm risking $100 to make 3. I could take that trade every day. That's 3 to 1. Okay, that's 3 to 1. No problem. I can take that trade. Okay, you see that? Now, let's say the potential profit target, let's say we didn't have this pre-market high here. We had like a previous day close line right here. Well, the risk to reward is 1 to 1. That's not a good trade. I'm not going to risk $100 to only try to make 100 because that is where the next level of resistance is. Can the trade go through this level of resistance and go higher? Absolutely. But if there's a major level of possible resistance here, that's what I'm expecting to get. I'm expecting to possibly have resistance here, right? That's usually what happens when you hit a major level of resistance. You usually have this area not being able to break through and come back down. So that risk to reward is not favorable for me. I'm not going to take that trade, right? The chances of breaking out through here are not high. And if we get stuck here, I'm only going to make 100 after risking 100. That's not a good odds for me, right? I need 3 to 1 at least 2 to 1 to make it work. Okay. So how do we get that information? We get that information by identifying these three things, right? And once I identify this, is the profit target worth it? As I mentioned, number one, it is. Okay, we go forward with the trade. Now, if we decide, okay, the risk to reward is worth it, we're risking 100 to make 3. That's great, 3 to 1. Okay, yes, let's take the trade. Now, plan 2, since I already have identified what my stop loss and my profit target are going to be, all I have to do now is follow the plan. I don't want to go into a trade and then start making up the plan as I go. Oh, it's dropping against me. You know what? Since the price is dropping against me, let's make the stop loss here now, right? Give ourselves a little bit more room. You don't want to do that. This is when you start getting into trouble, okay? You don't want to do it. You want to follow your plan. If it comes back to your stop, you get out and you're done. You move on to the next trade. It's easier to do that if you have a plan in place already. If you don't, then you're going to be emotional and you're going to make the worst decisions when you're emotional, right? Us humans, we make the worst decisions when we are emotional. So that's why we always say, hey, sleep on it, come back the next day, think about it, wait till you calm, cool, and collected before you make any major decisions, because emotional decisions are usually the worst, right? So same thing here. You don't want to get into a trade and start deciding where your stop loss should be, where your profit target should be. It will be much harder to follow a plan. All right, on entry, what am I looking for? At the break of the 5-minute range, as you see here, so the break of the 5-minute range, that is our entry. Potentially the high of the candlestick, okay, so the high of the candlestick, or sometimes I use the close of the candlestick, which is going to be this right over here. That's the close of the candlestick right there. So either one works well. When it doesn't work well is when you have this kind of distance here, right? This extreme volatility and wick down. I will not take this on a 5 minute ORB breakdown, right? Because there's just too much going on here. I wouldn't do that. If anything, I see this as buying pressure. So I see it's actually wanting to go the other way. So be very careful when you see a candle with such a high wick like this, or long wick like this. I usually try to avoid stocks that have that wick. I want to check for relative volume. I want it to be explosive, that there's actually volume going through the ticker. I want to see the time and sales trading well for a possible breakout. I know that's very difficult to understand and see now, but when you go through our education center, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when you start seeing some of this time and sales and the way the order flow is coming through. We want to see that's actually setting up for a possible breakout. And not too distant from VWAP. Why? Because we want a good risk to reward, right? If the VWAP is here, let's say it's here, and and we're entering here, well, that risk to reward is not great, right? Look how much I have to risk to how much I'm possibly going to get. Still 1-to-1. That's not good, right? So you don't want to be too distant from VWAP to have that good risk to reward, because usually your stop loss is going to be near VWAP, right? So the loss of VWAP, the break of VWAP. So the further away you are from this, the higher your risk reward is going to be, and the harder it's going to be to get 1, 2, 3 R's on a trade. So you don't want to be too distant from the VWAP. Profit targets usually any major levels. In our example here is the high of the pre-market. If there would have been the previous day close, it would have been that, or any other major level that you have on there. You can use pivot points, moving averages, previous day close, highs and lows for the last 2 trading days, and make good targets for potential profits. All right, things to consider on this strategy. This can be traded long or short. The setup can work up to an hour after the market open. You can use the 5 minute to identify the setup, and use the 1 minute to fine tune your entry as we're going back and forth. There you kind of see how helpful the 1 minute could be opposed to the 5 minute, and vice versa. The same strategy can be used for 15, 30, and 60 minute ORB. I always take off the 1 minute here. You can use this for a 1 minute ORB as well. Highly recommend you do not use it for a 1 minute ORB starting out. Stick to the 5, 15, 30, and 60. The 1 minute is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. It's the most volatile time at the market open. I recommend people stay away from that from right now. Try these first. If you're successful with these, and you can always go back and try the 1 minute. But yeah, 5 and better starting out, I think, is better for the moment. Then you can always go back if you are still interested in that 1 minute ORB. All right, friends. So we talked technology. Very easy and straightforward. I think a lot of you guys are not going to struggle with this one. Set it and forget it. Move on. You can always come back and tweak things. Whether you want another monitor, extra information, that's fine. Try a different platform, no problem. But this is one you kind of set and forget. Very little changes happen here. Besides upgrading and that stuff. Strategy is probably where you spend a lot of the time at first. A lot of your time is going to be spent on strategy. Trying to figure out what strategy is good for you, what can you be successful in. And again, this is going to take time, so be very patient with this process. But there's no doubt that you are going to find a strategy that you're good at, right? But you just got to do is very strategic, and you got to be very patient about the process, and you got to be disciplined, right? You got to be really disciplined to say, okay, yeah, this is working, this is not working. I got to adjust this, I got to adjust that. Keep in mind as well, as you're starting out, you're going to be bad at everything. Even if you pick out of the gates, let's say you pick the VWAP breakout strategy, and that's the strategy that's going to match with your personality. The first 2-3 months, you might suck at it no matter what, just because you're getting used to everything. All the information is coming in, the level 2, the time and sales, the charts, the price action. There's so much happening here. It's going to take time to get some of that screen time first, to then understand what's really happening, and then possibly execute this strategy correctly. So again, can't stress enough about being patient, right? The first 1 or 2 months, if you're completely brand new to day trading, it's going to seem like a lot, but it's going to eventually slow down as you spend more screen time. You're going to get better at executing and processing information. So be patient with that process, especially that first, second, and even third months, and sometimes, depending how much screen time you are getting. But no doubt in my mind, you're going to get this. You're going to find the strategy that works for you. Now we go into psychology. And this one here is a little bit tricky, because when I see traders that been trading for some time, 3, 4, 5 years, when they make errors, when they make mistake, is usually not their strategy, and it's not their technology. All right. Screen drop. Oh, that's not good. Let's see here. I can reset it. So you don't see this right here? You don't see this writing? Shit. I'll refresh it here. So let me stop it. And I'll start it again. Just in case. Well, I turned it off just now. Give me a second. I'm gonna bring it back now. All right, how about now? You guys see this? Yep. Okay, cool. All right, now I have two screens for some reason. Let me turn this one off. Hopefully, I doesn't mess up the other one. Okay, so this is still good here, right? I see that it shows. Okay, good. All right, not sure what happened there, but let's continue. So now we go into psychology, and on here, friends. This is something that, again, as I mentioned before, when I've seen traders have been trading for a while and they make errors, is usually their mindset in trading, right? It's not their strategy. They know their strategy very well. It's not their technology. Like, for example, Andrew, he knows his technology like the back of his hand, and he also, you can't hear me now? Oh, that's not good. What's taking place? Okay, I'll reset the mic. I'm not sure. Yeah, try refreshing. I reset the mic. I can try to refresh the entire room if I need to. Let me know, guys, if you guys are good. If not, I'll refresh everything. Oh, audio is good. Okay. All right. Yeah, if you're having issue on your end, I'll give you a little second to refresh. There's a little recycling type arrows there that says reload. Click on that, and that should refresh your screen and hopefully give you a better connection. So yeah, and if that doesn't work, just back out of it completely. I would just type that in there if she cannot hear me. I'll just back out of it completely, just reopen it again. Uh-oh. I see a normal here, friends. I don't know. No one is speaking. Okay. All right, I'll get out of it completely. Be right back. All right, I am back. Is that good now? I just refresh everything, so hopefully that works. And let me turn on my screen here. Okay. I'm not sure what happened. I didn't touch anything, but there. Hopefully, everything's good. All right, awesome. All right, friends. So let's get into psychology. So one of the things that I want to show you guys here is how the mind works, right? If I ask you to walk in a park ledge a foot above the ground, and a 2 feet wide ledge here, you can do this with no problem, right? This is walking. You can walk from A to B without an issue. You can hold a full blown conversation with me here. You don't need a stick for this, by the way. Right, this is walking. You've been doing this since you was approximately about 1 years old, right? So there's no issues there. This is not a problem. Now, if I ask you to do this exact same skill called walking up here, things change, right? Things change, right? Now it's a little bit different. Now every step, is like an act of Congress, right? Everything's got to be calculated. We got to measure things. You're moving a lot slower. You're not having a calm, cool, and collected conversation with me up here, right? The pressure is on, and the pressure is on to perform, right? Why? Because now there's skin in the game. The risk is a lot higher. Okay, if you fall from here, might not get back up as easy as you fall from here. Here you fall, you probably even land on your feet, get back up, no problem, no harm, no foul. You fall from here, even though it's the same skill you've been doing for years. It's called walking. It's very different, right? So you could have a tremendous success here, But when it's time to put money on the line, when it's time to really open up an account and have a live account with your broker, things are a lot more difficult. And this is what happens to traders in sim and when they go live, right? It's not new. And this is why we created this funded account. Right? This funded account kind of puts you in the middle here, where you're risking a little bit of money, but not your entire, account, to kind of see if you can actually make it in this type of environment, right? So it puts a little bit of pressure in here because you now have some skin in the game. And I cannot tell you, I've seen traders come in here do $150 a day very easily, but then they cannot make that in sim, all because emotions are involved now, right? And this all comes down to the trading psychology, your trading mindset. It really messes with you. Like, you'd be surprised how much this has prevented traders from being profitable, where they cannot go to that live environment and make money, right? Just because of pressure, the anxiety, the pressure to perform at a very high level is tough. It's not easy. Not everyone can do that, right? So this is why we have tons of different books and webinars. One of the books I want to recommend to you is Introduction to Trading Psychology by Mike. He's one of our members here that started just like me. We started around the same time, 2017, 2018. And he goes through his struggles there, explains, how to improve your trading psychology, which is, if there's any key to success, is going to be your mindset. We're going to teach you everything else. We're going to teach you how to make money. We're going to teach you the strategy. We're going to teach you all of that. But how to keep the money, how to make sure you're not trading on emotions, that stuff you have to learn and go through it, right? You have to relearn and understand how it can affect your trading, right? Because we could teach people how to make money. Keeping the money is the hard part. That's the hard part, and that's usually tied into your trading psychology and the way you think about trading. Mike has also done a couple of webinars, which I'm going to show you in a second here in our webinar page that you should get started on. They're really good for new traders. Plus, we have other professionals like Dr. Kenneth Reed, Dr. Vanessa, Randy Howe, right, that know how the mind works. Some of these guys are actual traders themselves. I know Dr. Kenneth Reed for sure, Dr. Vanessa for sure. I'm not sure about Randy Howe, but a lot of these guys are traders themselves. So they know exactly some of the issues that you're going to face as a trader, right? So it's very important. It's very nice to see that point of view from these individuals. So definitely take advantage of them. They have tons of webinars in our education center that are going to be extremely useful. Now, I want to hop over into our education center, and I want to show you guys what how it's laid out and a few things you can do to make it a little bit easier as you're navigating some of this stuff here. So here's our education center. You're first greeted by all the strategies that we have, right? We have 27 strategies. Now, I highly recommend, if you're a brand new trader, that you kind of skip this page for right now and go straight into our intro and essential courses, right? These things are going to get you ready and started to better understand some of these strategies that we have here, right? If you're a more experienced trader and already have the basics down packed, then by all means start looking at some of these strategies, the mountain pass, the lightning bolt strategy, the 5-minute ORB range, right? And you can start getting into it. But if you're brand new, never traded before, highly recommend you go intro here, you go essentials. If you click on intro, I'll show you. You already done this class here, so don't need to do this again. You can skip that one, do some of the other ones on here. In some cases, not in some cases, in all cases, I recommend everyone go through this regardless of your experience, because there might be something here that maybe you didn't hear a certain way. At worst case, this is all a great refresher for you. Maybe you don't learn anything new, but hearing it from a different perspective, from a different point of view, can be the key to understanding something a little bit better, right? So definitely do that. Then you get into the essentials, 7 fundamentals of trading. We start talking about how to build support and resistance. We do this every morning. Me and Peter have a show that we do on YouTube every morning at 8:30 a.m. And we go over on how to build these support and resistance. But here, we're going to explain why. We're going to take our time explaining why we do those support and resistance levels, which is good to have that information. Then you can come practice with us as we do those levels every single morning. Here we have our trading tools. So how to set up Dash Trader Pro, if that's the platform you're going to use, and also how to set up our market atlas, right? So take a look at those videos there to get your system all set up. Now we start getting into the advanced courses, right? So you got your intro, essentials, and now we have the advanced courses. Now here we start getting a little more technical. How to use Camarillo pivot points, right? How to read the tape. These are a lot more difficult topics, and they're going to take some time. Some of these topics you might need to watch 2 or 3 times, and sometimes after you watch it the first or second time, It still might not click in until you actually start practicing and realize that, oh, this is what Paris was talking about. I see it now. I understand what he's talking about now. Let me go back and just review that video, right? For a third time, right? Sometimes it requires that because some of this stuff is a little more advanced and it's a lot of information to take in. So just be patient with this process as you're going through this. Here we have psychology, right? So now you start getting into some of the mindset. Here's one I was talking to you about that you should definitely check out: Introduction to Trading Psychology. Mike has done a really great job to prepare you for this. Now, this should really be here. This should be number one, right? This would be the number one thing that you actually go to, kind of prepare you for that, how to deal with that psychology. Then all these guys are really good. Definitely take advantage of this. Now our webinar, so that's kind of like the way to go, right? One, two, three here. If you're going to use Dashtrader Pro, four, and then you start getting into psychology, right? And that's really the order you want to do that in. You can always hop into strategies to see what strategy you're kind of leaning more towards. Now, when it comes to our webinars and mentorship, treat this like a reference encyclopedia where you come in here and you look for specific information. So, for example, hey, you know what? I like what Carlos did with the 5-minute ORB. I want to learn more about that. Or I like the Thor's camera pivot points. I want to learn more about that. You come in here and you search some keywords that you're looking for. You might not know the keyword of the presentation, but you might know, hey, you know what? I know Thor did this. So you type in Thor, hit search, and you're able to see what Thor has done for the community. All the recordings are going to be here, right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to come in here and then start going through everything. That's not going to help you. There's so much information on here. It's not going to be in any order. So that's not going to help you as much as keeping up to date with the stuff that's happening this week, next week, and moving forward. And if you miss something this week, what I recommend is you come in here on recent webinars and you just catch up, and this way you stay caught up with the stuff that's happening throughout the weeks, right? The webinar. So you can come over here and you can see the last couple of recent webinars and you can stay up to date with the stuff that's happening. I wouldn't go crazy about trying to go back to who knows when to try to catch up with all these webinars. That's just too much information, and I think it's not going to serve you right given the stage that you are in right now. All right, so that's our education center, guys. Hopefully that helps you navigate that a little bit better. All right, let's get into our trading expectations. And a lot of us, when we get started in trading, I know myself, was, hey, this is my plan. I'm just going to go from point A to point B. I'm going to open up an account, start trading, and then just work my way to success. And the reality is day trading is nothing like that. It's not a walk in the park. The reality trading is more like this. This is the learning curve, right? There's ups and down, and some of it very frustrating, especially when you go here like 2-week losing streak. That's frustrating. What I learned is that it's not a matter of when that's going to happen. It's a matter of how are you going to react when it does happen. Are you going to be prepared when that does take place? Because it will take place. And the traders that are prepared, that are risking small, that are removing themselves from a live account and going back to sim when things are not working out. Those are the guys that survive this challenge and do not burn out right here. And that's the goal. How do we prevent you guys from burning out, right? Because no matter how good I am, Andrew, whoever, we cannot build you a bridge to get you over here. You have to go through this learning curve, right? And some people are going to make it and some people are not going to make it. But you have to go through this learning curve. Our job is to help you, give you all the tools so you can go through this learning curve the best way possible, right? The best way possible with the tools that are going to allow you to survive some of the pitfalls that are here when it comes to trading, right? And the way you got to look at it is trading is no different than any other career. It is extremely difficult. I'm not going to go through every details on here for the sake of time. One of the things I boil it down to is checks and balances, right? When you look at a doctor, engineer, lawyer, all these guys have checks and balances, meaning even after they get, let's go even further down the line, even after they get their degree, this lawyer is not going to be placed on a high profile case, right? He might be like the second assistant lawyer there working on a high profile case. And what he's doing at that point, he is learning from a live experience, right? He's in the courtroom taking notes. He's helping the lead lawyer or maybe assistant lawyer get information, track down references, law, whatever rules or whatever the case may be. But what he's doing there, he's learning from a live case, from a live environment. Same thing with an engineer. He's not gonna, just because he got a license for engineering, his first gig is not gonna be to build a 2-mile bridge. That's not gonna happen. right? He's going to be a lead engineer with experience that has done this before, has a proven track record. And he could be the second lead or even third lead, learning from the person over here, learning from a live environment. So there's checks and balances here, even after they get their licenses. In trading, there's no checks and balances. You open up an account right now and you can trade tomorrow and nobody's going to stop you, right? So that's the dangers when it comes to trading. There's no checks and balances. So you have to build that for yourself. You have to decide, hey, we're gonna build this foundation the right way. So just because we went through Sim successfully, we did all the courses at Bearable Traders. Once we open up our account here, we're going to build this foundation successfully. We're going to trade small, right? And what are we doing when we trade small? When we're trading, when you have a $40,000 account and you're trading only $20 risk, what are you doing? You're building a foundation because it's not about the money. You're not risking 40, you're not risking 1% because you saw this somewhere. Hey, risk 1% of your $40,000 account, which comes to $400 per trade. Is that reasonable for somebody that does not know how to trade, has no experience, just because they read somewhere risk 1% of your account? No way. It's not reasonable, right? So you risk $20 per trade. What you're doing is you're building that foundation. You're this guy here learning from the lead doctor. And that takes time and discipline. But eventually, if you're able to survive that, then you move up. Then you start risking a little more. Then you start risking a little more after you show and prove to yourself that you can be successful. People don't want to do that. They want to risk right away the $400 because they're thinking, hey, I want to make profits. I want to make a lot of money. Well, you cannot get here until you go through this venture here. And the people that do decide to do that, they end up blowing up their account, taking big losses, and eventually say, hey, trading is not for me. I'm going to leave this to somebody else. Right? So I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be the person that comes in, understands it's got to be checks and balances, understands it's going to take time, and they're going to trade very small until they're able to move up to the next step. Maybe next month or two, they'll risk $40, right? Because they did well the first couple of months. So that's the way you do this and build those checks and balances in place. Very, very important. So how do we do this, guys? Like any new business, you need to invest in it and you need to be patient. Can't stress that enough. You got to be patient. This is going to take time. Proper education, classes, webinars, and mentorship. These are all available to you now with your Bearable Traders membership. Proper tools, platform, trading desk, everything here basically supporting what you're trying to accomplish. It's got to be supporting your goal. If they're not supporting your goal, they're holding you back from getting closer to it. So get rid of it, change it, do what you have to do. But everything here has to support what you're trying to accomplish. You need to be available during sometimes of the market hours between 9:30 and 4 p.m. Not the entire time, but you got to have some availability to be able to trade the market open or at least watch the price action live. Develop a trading strategy. This is key. I know. I remember when I first started wanting to trade so bad already. Out of the gates, I just want to trade. But you got to have a strategy first, right? My first time trading was before I met Bearable Traders and Andrew. I opened up an account, lost $700. I didn't have a strategy. My strategy is buy here, sell here. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work clearly. So I had to, find a strategy, learn how to actually trade, right? Keep an open mind to learning. This is very important. Things change. People have new information. So keep an open mind that how is this person trading that strategy? How is this person doing that? You're just going to learn more and see how small things from other people can maybe help your trading and improve your style of trading, right? So keep an open mind to see how others are trading and get ideas from them as you move forward. All right. So very, very important, guys. And with that, I'm just going to go straight to our free gift from Andrew, friends, for joining us this evening. It's available to you now. So head over to bearabletraders.com/gift and you'll get access to these books here, trade book, and also roadmap to success. Just a small thank you for spending the time and being with us here this evening. All right. With that said, guys, let's get some questions here. Let's see what questions you guys might have. Hopefully the audio and everything held up pretty good. Not sure what took place earlier today, but looks like we're good. All right, Dwayne's got some links for you guys as well on there. So if you guys, no questions so far. Oh, that's good. That's good. Two things. Oh, we were very clear. Oh, we put people to sleep. I hope we're very clear. I hope that was the case. No questions so far. Okay. Thank Hux, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Do you recommend order entry starting out with an order entry window? Um, so you mean like order entry window opposed to hotkeys? And so I want to see there. You recommend chart order entries. Oh, okay. So I mean, I use the order entry window with hotkeys, right? I recommend the order entry window. I think that it's better to type things in there and see things clearly. So I recommend that. But to be honest, there's no right or wrong way. It's just the way you can do it best, whatever you feel comfortable with doing. Because I know people that use even though or there's a script, right? There's scripts you can use. I don't even use an order entry window. Some people like to do it off the chart. So there's so many ways you could do it. I think you have to do it whichever way is best for you, and then you could do it quickly and effectively. Right. Me personally, I use hotkeys. Right. So yes, I'm clicking on the order window to have it activated, the montage, and then I'm sending a hotkey order. Right. A shift one, for example, is my buy long order. Right. Shift two is partial. Shift three is sell all. Right. So Brian uses order entry hot buttons, which are basically hotkey scripts in a button, right? So he just takes his mouse over and hits the button, and it shows up pretty nice as well. So there's just so many ways to do it. Some people type it out, and then on the order entry window they hit the key. There's so many ways to do it, man. So I can't tell you which one is better. The best one is the one that you can do effectively over and over again. Yeah, I did a basic video on IBKR a while ago, man. It's pretty old now, but I don't think they have updated it much. So I think it still works. And I know also Megan has a couple of videos on Interactive Broker. She actually has more than I do. But yeah, there are some setups you can do there. I do have a wait. I remember talking about how to set up the layouts so they make more sense. They're more similar to what Dash Trader Pro has. So I did that some time ago. Yeah, so that's a good video if you want to start there. But yeah, as far as which one is better, it really comes down to you. I have TradeStation platform, but I do not know how to use it properly. I mean, a lot of these platforms, TradeStation, I have not used personally. But a lot of these platforms, they're very popular, right? So I'm sure on YouTube you probably have tons of videos. If you want to use them, there's probably tons of training videos on it, right? We don't have no training videos on it because we don't a lot of our moderators don't use it. We all pretty much use Dash Trader Pro. But I'm sure you could find tons of videos on YouTube on how to use that platform if that's what you want to go with. And I haven't really heard anything bad about TradeStation platform either. So Robinhood is tough because Robinhood for active trading, you're not gonna get the best fills. They're great for buy and hold, maybe swing trading, but for active trading, that could be a little bit tough. I have Robinhood, and there's no way like I can trade like a 5 minute ORB on that thing, right? It's really meant for buy and hold, maybe swing trade for a couple of days, but it's not really meant for active trading. And again, I haven't been on it some time, so don't think things have changed, right? Platform upgrades, they do different things, but I still think believe that their model, right? What they are geared towards is people buying and holding a little more long term. How can you master Dash Trader Pro if you get one? The first thing will be go through all our courses that we have there, and then just start practicing. Like once you get it, you could even go to Dash and do like a 14-day trial that they have, and just start practicing. Just start using it every day. Use a simulator part of it, and just practice, practice, practice. Right, get that screen time. So, but our videos are a good starting point. They'll get you going, and then the rest is just practice. Yeah, Boyd, and that's for everything, right? Like even Dash Trader Pro, like when you first get it, you're like, oh man, everything's all over the place. It takes a little bit to